How's it going, folks? Nick here with the Tieta Permaculture vlog. It's been, I think, about a year since my last message. Almost exactly since while I'm recording this, I think. Had quite a few changes in my life. If one's not completely obvious right away, it will be in just a moment. I'm now in North Carolina, no longer in Puerto Rico. Big change, obviously. Probably the biggest change in my life so far, though, is this guy right here, Finn. He is now almost a year old. We also have new cats. I think I introduced them last vlog. Oops, sorry, am I getting the mic there? This is Mama Cat, Mama Kitty. She's Mama because she gave birth to 4 kittens about a week after we adopted her from the street. So Finn has a friend and another friend around. Here's the other kitty. This is Bear Boy. Hey, Bear Boy. Good boy. Now that I kind of gotten the introduction and kind of overview over the way, I'm just gonna do a really quick little tour. Just show you a little bit of what's going on here. I noticed now that Finn has lost his hat. Maybe I'll get that back on, maybe not. But yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of tour, just kind of tell you what I'm up to, what I've been doing here on this site, with very, very minimal resources overall to get started. And especially for, those of you who are in Asheville, North Carolina or around the area, we just went through a pretty devastating storm, tropical storm, or Hurricane Helene. It was a hurricane until it got close to us, I think. But it was, I've been through some hurricanes, and this one was pretty bad, especially the flooding that happened here. We had, I think, the 1,000-year rain event in terms of, or the 1,000-year flood event. So it's not only the 100-year flood, it's not even the 500-year flood. We had the 1,000-year flood event during this storm due to a little bit of a weather system that happened right before the storm, and the storm kind of kept it right in place. So we got a whole bunch of rain right before the actual hurricane got here. So it just basically caused just massive flooding, a lot of damage. The communities here are really having a hard time. So the whole point of me saying all that is that for people who are around this area or are interested or have gone through something similar like that, I just want to show you how good design, good permaculture design, and even if you're not doing permaculture, just good garden design and good planning as you work through your systems can really, really help you stay strong through those times, okay? So we suffered absolutely no erosion damage or water flow damage or anything. Now, we are on a ridge top, so we have pretty minimal water flows coming to us, so that's a benefit, right? Other places down near the valley couldn't do much to help the destruction of the flooding, right? But the areas where you can do more, if you have a site that's not directly connected to a stream or a creek or anything like that, or the river, there's many things you can do to really kind of reduce the impact. And that's basically trying to slow spread and soak water into the soil. That's a really, really big one, and we talk about that all the time in permaculture. But you can do that even in your gardens, even where you want drainage. You can kind of set this stuff up to be beneficial for you. So let me just kind of walk you through. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm showing you the current projects that I have going on here. And then from there, we can kind of see what else we can get into. Again, I'm going to try and make this one not so long because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty rusty. I feel rusty as I'm doing all this. And this guy's only going to tolerate me for doing this for so long. First up on the tour is Mama Girl playing with the car. Hey, Mama Girl. Hey, Mama. All right. So basically, as we walk down into our spot here, I'll just kind of give you a general idea of what it looks like in the larger scale here. So we have a big oak tree, which is basically, the property itself consists of kind of that tiny house over there, the well house right here. There's another house on the property right there, and this is a duplex right over here where we live. So this is kind of where we're staying at the moment. I don't have much land to work with. Pretty much the fence line, if you imagine that continuing along these this 2x4s that are laid out, this is pretty much the land that I have to work with right in front of us. So it's really not that much, but I'm able to do quite a bit with it. So the first thing you'll see here is as part of our driveway system here. Obviously we have a lot of water flow that comes down the driveway and comes down here. So before we did anything here, basically water would just start flowing through here and kind of soaking. And I don't really want excess water in my garden beds, right? And it would also just kind of flow through here and go right to the house. So we just did a small little mini berm here. And by mini, I really do mean mini. It's maybe 2 inches tall. It's 50 centimeters tall for you guys in the metric area. It's really not very big at all. And I just see that with some grass and some clover and everything just to kind of help hold the stability. But just this right here takes care of the majority of the excess water. This tiny little thing. Think about that. if you think about, oh, I can't do that much to control water, literally, this is a small berm. It is graded, so there's a 1 to 2% grade starting up here, and we're going down this way. So when the water flows, it basically comes down, hits the berm, and then just spreads out, naturally flowing this way if it is going to start flowing. And then eventually comes down and basically goes down through the dry creek, as you can see here. And this was already installed when I got here. This was basically a drainage feature to help prevent all the issues that we were still having even after they added this in. So this is basically the flow of the water. So water flows from above down the slope, hits that tiny little berm, and then flows this way. I have these here mostly just to kind of stop this flow when it isn't so strong, and kind of holds it right back behind that berm, so everything starts to soak into this area. Now in those major events, we could get some water coming up and over this, and that's okay. This is kind of designed to just basically be a wood chip kind of soakage area anyway. So if the water does end up coming up here, right here is a little bit lower in this little area than right over here on the berm itself. So it's very minor, but it is a little bit lower. So if water does get backed up here, if this gets blocked or there's too much flow to handle in this little area, which would be pretty unlikely for our small little catchment area of right up here. But if it did happen, it could actually go right up and over here as well. So that's just like an extra planning phase that isn't necessarily something that you would think about doing, but that little tiny bit of extra planning for that extra, extra safety in those major rage events, that would basically be a really nice thing. We got Mama and Bear Boy playing over here. What are you guys doing? Mama loves to play with Bear Boy. That's it. That's her little boy. So they're playing all the time. Fun to have the two cats around. Anyway, back to here. So right below that little berm here, the first thing I have, even before the garden bed system, now this is just a 3-bed. It started off as 3 8-foot beds, little system here. Right now I have the agribon, which is also called row cover or row fabric or insect netting or insect fabric, or there's many different words for it, but agribon, it tends to be the way people describe it. This is basically just a winter covering. So this keeps the temperature a little bit warmer under there since we are going into winter. I technically don't need it right now because it's pretty warm, and it has been pretty warm, but I just kind of like have everything ready to go. So basically this is agribon fabric, and there's little fiberglass posts that are curved to make that little hoop house shape there. And then just way down the side with either metal stakes or even you can see in here just literally pieces of wood on here. I have them wrapped around. This is the first garden system I put in, but even before that system, right in front here, you can see there's a small little bed, and these are just native flowers. So these flowers, basically right now it's pretty minimal because again, we're going into fall, so there's not much happening here. But you can see we even have some flowers coming in, even into fall here. Some Gallardia, I think it's called, blanket flower. That's a native flower here. And this I literally just sprinkled a native seed mix, and I just put it in there, and it did all the work for me. So I didn't really do much. But basically what that's doing is attracting pollinators right to the garden, even before we even get to the garden. Obviously right now with the covers, the insects aren't doing much good, but right now I'm not really growing anything that needs to be pollinated because we're going into winter and nothing really is going to grow. So mostly I'm focusing on longer term storage crops right now. On the edge of this system, instead of just having like an edge that ends, I actually have a perennial system. So it's a mix between edibles like this rosemary right here, nice rosemary. We got chives on the corner. And then we also have, and I also buried a bunch of garlic in here. So garlic will end up popping up in here. And there's also echinacea, Echinacea purpurea, the purple echinacea. This is a native wildflower. You can actually still try to start flowering again. I doubt they'll actually get there, but they are trying. And then we got some calendula, some sage, and a couple other things that ended up not quite making it all the way. That's okay. We got some more chives in here. Got some oregano. Ends up being a really nice little evergreen ground cover. So basically just kind of using that edge space as well. So I'm not only using like the garden space, and the reason why it's fenced honestly is more to do with the cats than anything else, although I do have quite a bit of deer pressure here. And also there's also bear pressure, all sorts of pressures in terms of the wildlife. But you know, I find the cats are the most problematic so far, and that's why I had the fence up. So yeah, this is basically 3 8-foot gardens in here. These are raised beds. The beds are all made of the same material as you see in these beds down below here. This is all, again, the exact same material as that fence. This is tulip poplar. The reason I'm using tulip poplar, not so much, it is quite a good wood actually to use, and it has been used in canoe making traditionally in this area. So I know it has to be pretty good with water, lasting water. But yeah, basically all the beds are made of this material because I had it and access to it for free. So I was able to basically make all my raised beds, hey Mama Key, all my raised beds out of that. So that gave me a nice little easy way to create a raised system here. And when I started with this system, this entire thing was just very compacted clay. That's all I had to work with here. Okay, so I'm telling you, anyone can make this happen. This is not overly hard to do. Okay, so yeah, I have a 3-bed system here. And I used to have 3 8-foot beds, but I found that because I'm now I added a fence to it, and just because of, I don't have that much time overall to do all this kind of stuff. So I just find that I need a little bit less space. So what I did here is shortened the one edge here. So basically allows me to have kind of a U-shaped access going through here. In the future, what I'll probably end up doing is right where you see like that first set of hoops here, I'm probably going to close that off right there come next season, and basically add a bed along that far edge right here. So instead of having only 3 rows going this way, I'll make a big U with a little thing here, which should be called kind of like a keyhole bed. I found that I actually want more of the sun for these annuals, so I'm actually going to add a bed going across that way, and I think they'll do much better for things like the tomatoes and everything. That I want to have plenty of sun, but still have some good drainage. And then basically I'll have an access coming in to about almost all the way, a little access this way, and then going in all the way. So I'm kind of maximizing my bed space. Right now I have a little bit of waste because of these access not being used. At the same time, I am using this row cover, so I do need to have somewhat of a uniform bed shape so I can reuse these parts, not have to have different shapes and lengths of row cover for every single bed I make. So this will probably end up being what it looks like every winter season. And then the summer, I'll add a temporary little retaining area there, and then I'll retool the bed so that I can have a bed going this way. All right, down here, these are my longer beds. These are 12-foot beds. So these are for more of my bulkier crops. The first year I did this, these are pretty much just cover crop full time. Right now, you're actually seeing a winter cover crop coming in on this one, which I put in quite late. I was able to get this started. I'm hoping it's gonna take. It looks like it will. I think I'm long enough now with the rye. This is a rye, vetch, and clover mix, crimson clover and hairy vetch. So this is just a cover crop to kind of keep the soil life active during the winter until it obviously gets too cold for them to be active, and then they'll just hibernate until next year, and then they'll have something to feed off of come next spring. So this will be a winter cover crop, and I'll actually use all of that as mulch for whatever the next crop is that goes in here or into any of these beds for the spring once we get into the spring season. All right, Finn is back on the ground. He's going to hopefully just chill here and do his thing. Got the hat back on. Don't eat anything while I'm not looking, bud. Back down here, like I said, this is a winter cover crop. Hopefully that's going to be good. This is my garlic bed for the year. Last year, this was the garlic bed. So basically, I'm just kind of swapping these back and forth between garlic. There's 4 rows of garlic in this 12-foot bed, and they're actually starting to come up already, which is not overly concerning, but and because I did this last year too, they all started to pop up right around now, right before the actual cold season comes in. But we do got some garlic popping up already, so this should be plenty of garlic for the family, for our family. This is all soft neck garlic, because I found that I did a bed of last year of both hardneck and soft neck together, but the soft neck comes out earlier than the hardneck garlics, and I found that the hardneck garlic was preventing me from doing another crop. So what I did this year is put all my soft neck into one bed, so as soon as I harvest that, I can get another crop in there, like sweet potato or something like that. That'll be okay with that kind of summer season, instead of last year when basically I was waiting for the hardneck garlic to be done and ready to harvest so I could swap it over, but then it was too late to do any sort of summer crop. So that's how that goes. Hey, don't eat that rock. Don't eat the rock. Just a cool rock, but don't eat it. No eating it. Nope. Can I have that? Thank you. Here you go. Here's a stick. Play with the stick. That's more fun, right? So yeah, basically I have my cover crop and then a garlic bed. And down here, this is my perennial bed. This bed it was immediately planted. This was actually one of the first beds I planted, honestly, with raspberries, which you can see are still coming through, even though we're in late October. I'm getting raspberries pretty much every day, which is pretty cool. And then we also have strawberries. I have the ever-bearing ones down at the end here, so we might get a few here, but I've found that the birds and the slugs tend to get to them first at this time of year. So this has basically been a borage, raspberry, and strawberry bed. And obviously we're at the end of the season here, so not so much happening. But next year, I just planted it this spring with the strawberries. The raspberries went in much earlier than that. That was like last summer. So they've been here almost a year and a half now. We had pretty much abundant harvest from June all the way through the year, which has been pretty nice. You can see the borage. Every borage you see here now is the second generation. And that's just seed that dropped from the original borage is now staying there. Borage is a pretty cool plant. It is said to make strawberries taste better. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but there's the flower, and that is an edible flower as well. It's kind of a pretty flower, so nice to have as a little garnish for salads or anything like that. But really the strawberries and the raspberries are what I'm growing here, and the borage is a little bit of a support to get some pollinators in, because the pollinators do seem to love it. On the edge of all these beds, of these longer term beds here, the bigger beds, I have a blueberry at every corner here, basically. There's one right here, there's one here, and there's one at the front here. So the blueberries are kind of like my edge crops, and I also have this interplanted. There's some daffodils in here, and on each one of these, or on this one and the next one, I put my hardneck garlic, and the hardneck garlic is also on every single one of the edges of these beds too. So basically, instead of having a whole bed dedicated to garlic, I'm just fitting in the hardneck garlic wherever I could, so that when I do harvest it, as long as I don't go too close to the roots of these blueberries, they'll be perfectly fine with that. This is an aster that is obviously now going to flower. I don't know if you can see that, but I just touched it and all the seeds flew away. And over here I have, again, an echinacea, which, again, this one just started blooming pretty recently, which is pretty cool. Cool to see that we got those flowers. Love to see the natives. This comfrey was very, very small when I put it in just this summer. It's already huge. Same with this lemon balm. Lemon balm again over here. Just some nice things to have in here. Again, this is a blueberry. That's the main thing here. And everything else here is just supporting the blueberry. Same thing here, blueberry. And we also have, this is goldenrod. This is a local mint variety called mountain mint. And there's lupin here and here somewhere. It might not be visible right now because, it's the wintertime or it's the fall. All these beds are designed to manage water passively. So as water comes through from up here, because right here you can notice it's actually open. Instead of having that berm here, I left it open at this area for a couple of reasons. One, we need to get in and out of here, obviously, but also because I want to take that water. And what happens here is the water comes down this little path, and from here everything is graded slightly this way, so water actually goes through and into here. Right now the wood chips, it's freshly put in wood chips, but it's like 2 to 3 inches of wood chips at least. So it seems higher, but actually the ground level itself is lower in this location. So all the water basically flows down and out this way, continues down past Finn, and then comes to this point here. Excuse the hose there. And at this point, it basically comes down and spreads out kind of like my hand right here. I don't know if you can, there we go. So kind of just like my hand. So basically it goes down this way. Some of it goes down this way and spreads out. It also comes in and actually underneath that edge and then in through that bed. It also goes in through this footpath, in through this bed, in through this footpath, all the way down. That's the biggest one. It has the most grade because I wanted most of the water to go this way and through there. And then, of course, it can just go down into the grass here if we have a major, major rain. But most of the water, before it gets to down to this point here, most of the water is taken up either by the wood chips themselves or going into these footpaths throughout here. So it's actually a pretty cool little system where most of, my bigger, bulkier crops, especially the raspberries and strawberries here, these are pretty much watered passively whenever it rains. It just soaks in through here, and actually this is a 3-foot path. And the first foot here actually really decompacted, and I decompact on a regular basis so that as the water flows through here, it can actually soak right into the ground through there and into this bed here. Same thing kind of happens with this one. It's just a much smaller footpath. It's only about 18 inches just so I can get in and out, just to maximize my space there. And because these are long beds, I do like to have a footpath all the way through just because it's much easier to manage the whole bed that way. What are you whining about, huh? What are you whining about? That's cool. Is that a stick? You want me to take that? Here. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. You got another stick for me? Thank you. Can I give you this one? This is a nice one for you to hang out with. There you go. Nice. But yeah, basically I wood chipped this since the storm, so it looks really clean and everything. And this is certainly not what it looked like right after the storm. You would see flow patterns basically coming this way and showing you where the water's flowing, and you'd have little curves of wood chips that piled up. So I basically just refreshed this right after the storm since I had that pile of wood chips delivered to me. So this actually was a very, very stable system. All of my beds were completely planted at the time of the hurricane, and absolutely none of the beds got destroyed. Everything was still growing. I did have these roof covers on. It was just a lighter version. It was for like the summertime, just to help keep the pests off. So basically right after the storm, I was able to come out and harvest greens when everybody was having a hard time finding fresh food. So again, very, very small amount. I mean, this is not very much space at all. Like, as you can see here. Hi. What are you doing? What do you got for me? You got the stick. Oh, okay. I got the stick. You want me to hold you? All right, things I'm learning. Much harder to do vlogs when I have a kid with me, but something I learned from Justin Rhodes, who actually happens to also be right around this area in Asheville. What I learned from him and watching his vlogs, and he was one of the main people who inspired me to start vlogging as I did this journey, was that, the garden is obviously a goal. It's something we're working towards, but really what we're doing is raising children. And I'm trying to raise my boy, and he's waving. Yes, this wave. That was a perfect timing. I'm trying to raise this guy, so he gets to be welcomed into the vlog, not shunned away from it. So the point is, this is not very much space. This area is like let's see, maybe it's like a 12 by 12 foot area at most. Actually, this is an 8-foot area. It's more like 10 by 10, this entire area right here. So that's 10 by 10 area. This is a 12 foot by there's 30-inch beds, 2.5, 5, plus a little bit. So maybe 6 by 12 here, maybe 8 by 12, something like that. And then this one, obviously just a long and weird V-shaped one, because I wanted to keep this area more square at the end here, in case I need to get something big through here to, manage the electrical, or had to put something new in here. I just want to make sure there was a nice wide open path for them to get through here. So this I wanted to keep open. It's also a nice shady spot to put Finn down in the middle of the day. So nice to have that. But yeah, so yeah, not very much space at all. And it's giving me production all through the year, which is pretty cool, with maybe the small exception of, the middle of winter when it's not so conducive to growing. There's so much more I can tell you and show you. And I will do more of these vlogs, I promise. It's been like, I've been sitting here wanting to start them again. I just couldn't quite figure out how, and trying to get the motivation to start. So here I am. If you do enjoy this, please let me know, because it will help me kind of keep going, I think. One last thing I'll show you. Finn wanted to get down, so I put him down. Two last things. I said one, but of course that's not going to be the case. This is the other thing I put in pretty early. Right now it's being overtaken by this aster that was not planned, but I kept because it just popped up. Is I have a nice little lavender and thyme little area here, and then a raised bed. And this is for mint, because it can get pretty invasive if grown right in the ground. So nice to have a nice area that's enclosed for it to grow in. But I also grew potatoes in here last winter, and I also have a worm bin right in here. And that's something I can show you in another vlog. But the thing I really wanted to focus on is this right here. I'm going to do a whole video on this system, and I already have one that I can link. But this is based on the Blue Barrel Systems, bluebarrel.org or bluebarrelsystems.org. This is a Blue Barrel system. Basically, it's a rainwater collection system that is underplumbed and very, very easy to set up and install. It reuses waste barrels like this. These actually held Mountain Dew syrup, and they still kind of smell like Mountain Dew. So I'm going to have kind of Mountain Dew water for now. But listen, this is non-potable water. And for a lot of people around the Asheville area right after the storm, while potable water was in pretty good supply, once everything opened up and people can get out to get bottled water or supplies from the local emergency assistance areas. All right, Finn's here again. The thing that was really not in good supply was non-potable water. So rainwater is one of the best ways that you can collect water for non-potable use. And depending on the cleanliness of your roof and your own desire to drink it or not, most rainwater is quite clean, as long as it's a clean roof that you're collecting off of, like this one. This is a beautiful standing seam roof. This is one of the best roofs to catch water off of. And it comes down through the downspout here, goes into a little leaf guard to keep all the leaves out, right? And then Finn's gonna drum. You gonna drum? Drum, drum, drum. Nice, drum, drum, drum. Good. It comes to the leaf guard to help filter all the leaf cells. Then it comes down. There's a little bit of an insert right into downspout here. And then what that does is catches a lot of the water and sends it into the tanks. And these tanks are underplumbed, so they basically share water. So when it rains, it fills both at the same time. The other day, we had a nice little deluge of water for the first time since Hurricane Helene, which is a good thing because we needed dryness to help clean up and do recovery. But it would also be nice to have water so we can collect water, right? But we did have a very, very short deluge the other day, and I managed to collect 50 gallons of water from that one little deluge. So basically, each of these tanks are half full right now. These are 50-gallon tanks. So right now, I have a potential of 100 gallons of non-potable rainwater storage. This will mainly be used for irrigation. I'll set up irrigation to use off of that. So basically, I don't have to pay any water money for irrigation of these garden beds, because this is just it's a little bit higher than this top bed here, right? So I'm able to send water for free from right there to my garden beds. And then that's going to basically be the way I irrigate for next growing season. This is a system that will need to be drained in the winter because it is outside. However, you could weatherproof it and make it a little bit more weather stable, but basically it's just mostly the fittings that's going to be the issue. The water in the tanks won't be a problem at all, but it's all the little fittings and pipe connections that might burst if it gets too cold. So this will need to be drained and disconnected, and that's very easy to do. All you have to do is pull out this little thing in here, and you put a little cap on that little insert, and then you're done. You're winterized. So very, very easy. But right now, I have 50 gallons of non-potable water, and this system I installed after the hurricane, and I was kicking myself for it because I knew once we had lost water, I was like, I should have gotten that done way before the hurricane. It's been on my to-do list since we moved here, basically, but it's just one of those things that you just keep putting off because you don't feel like doing it. All in all, this took me about 12 to 15 hours to get all the parts and install right here. Very, very basic. It just lifted up 2 tanks, a few drill holes to make, a bunch of pipe connections to make, and you're good. I'm going to do a full video on this, kind of showing you the install. I have some clips from me when I was installing it, and just kind of walk through the system little by little, because I want anybody, especially anybody in this hurricane area and anyone who's in any sort of future hurricane area, or has been in a hurricane area before, has dealt with an issue with water. Rainwater catchment is very, very easy. People seem to make it seem like it's a very complicated and hard thing to do. It's not. Very, very easy. You basically connect to a downspout and you put it in a tank, and then you have water. That's pretty much it. It can be way more complicated, but that's the basic of it, right? There's some things you need to think about: insect control, freezing if you get down to freezing and all that kind of stuff. But the basic is you catch water from the downspout, you put it into tanks, and then when those tanks are full, you make sure you know where the water's going. And again, I will do a full video on this system and how I installed it, just so anybody who's interested can do this. You could also go to bluebarrelsystems.org and find all the information right there. They have how-to videos and all that kind of sort of stuff. And they sell the kits to do all this, so you don't even have to think about finding the parts. So you can just buy one little kit with everything in it. That's what I did here. I think it was about $300 total to get all the little fittings and parts, and I got a couple little extra things. Fittings, parts, barrels was about $300. You could probably do it cheaper if you had a bunch of little parts laying around, PVC parts and pipe lying around. You don't have to buy that part. But yeah, just a couple small little adapters that you would need. You could probably do it for as little as maybe $100, at least in the States. And obviously, if you have a good supplier of barrels, pipe things, and all that thing, you could probably do it for free. I tell my clients, my design clients all the time, I tell anyone I know, if you can catch rainwater, this is what Bill Mollison, the founder of Permaculture, said: if you can do one thing, collect rainwater. And that doesn't mean just in the barrels, it also means in the soil, the way I have everything set up to harvest water and slow it down and soak it in before it runs off the site. Catching it in barrels, reusing that rainwater that would have otherwise just gone right down that drain pipe and down the hill. Instead of that, I'm catching it here, holding it for longer, able to reuse that for other things. And for the main part, it's going to be watering the gardens here once we get that all set up. All right, folks, that's it for me today. It was really nice to get back out here and start talking to you. Actually, I always forget how much I enjoy doing this until I'm actually doing it. Really excited to share it with Finn for the first time, right, buddy? I hope this kind of shows that even in a very, very small space, even when you don't have that much time at all, you can probably guess I don't have that much time, right? Even if you think you can't do it, you can. You do have the time. You just have to fit it in. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it just takes a little bit of time on a regular basis to maintain a garden like this. It doesn't take, hours and hours and hours every single day. It's maybe 10 to 20 minutes a day, with a few days spending a couple hours out here to do like the bigger stuff that just needs to get done, right? I'm happy to help you kind of talk through this as much as I can. Feel free to leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer those as time allows. So if you do like this, please share, please like, please subscribe, and please let me know what you like, what you don't like, how it can improve, and what else you'd like to learn about, because that'll help me kind of focus my videos into the future. That's all for me and Finn. Hope you have a good day, and have a good one.